Okay, guys, please welcome Ernie Els to the Shaw Media Center. Ernie, it's your third straight RBC Canadian Open as an RBC ambassador, but you're first at Glen Abbey since 1998. So maybe you could tell us what it's like to be back here, and then we'll open it up for some questions.
Oh, it's great to be back. As we said, with RBC coming in as the title sponsor, taking it around Canada, really showcasing the tournament and also the country. I think it was a wonderful idea, and coming back to our old stomping ground here. I last played here, I thought, back in '97, but you just said '98, so 15 years ago, and it was nice to see the course again, and it's in great shape, so I think we're in for a good tournament.
Guys, if you have any questions, just raise your hand and we'll get you a microphone. Right here, Mr. Angus.
Thank you. Ernie, it's Brian Angus here. Welcome back to the RBC Canadian Open. I want to ask you a question. Gary Player obviously set the example for South Africans traveling the world to play the game, and you continue to do that. Why don't you just take the easy route and park yourself over here in North America, play the PGA Tour, save yourself all the travel? What drives you to continue to travel the world and play this game?
It's just, I think, if you ask Gary, you ask us, myself, we've always been doing that. It's just a natural way of the way we've been playing the game all over the world, and I love it. I've tried to play a bit more over in North America on the US Tour, but I just keep finding myself wanting to play overseas, and it's, once you go to a certain place, whether it's at the Scottish Open, the Open Championship, whether it's in Dubai, Australia, whatever, you find that you keep going back there. You make friends and you have good tournaments and you feel like you want to go back there. So, and as it turns out, I've been having a 23-year career now, and I've been doing it a long time. And as you say, sometimes I truly don't ever thought that I wanted to play in one particular place. I've always wanted to play around the world. So it's just the way it is.
Well, we're delighted.
Well, thank you.
Scott.
Ernie, I know you have a love affair with Muirfield, but what does it feel like to come back to a place where there's green grass and you're going to a more comfortable North American style that you're used to playing on the PGA Tour?
Well, I must say they got Muirfield very firm. I think I played quite a few practice rounds at Muirfield before the Open Championship, and every time I went there, it was just getting firmer and firmer and firmer. And by tournament time, it was as firm as I've ever played anywhere. So, they actually tried to slow it down a bit over the weekend. Especially Sunday, I felt the greens were a little bit slower, but it was a great tournament. And but I was very, very happy to be back on green grass where the ball actually tries to stop, and I like the distance downwind. Some of those 400-yard drives we hit. Yeah, I miss that, but it's nice to be playing at kind of more original golf.
Nice, right in the middle, or right here.
Okay. Ernie, in your travels, obviously you play a lot of national opens. How special are those to you? You mentioned even the Scottish Open. I know a lot of people say you're an RBC guy for this, but Scottish Open, obviously the British Open, South Africa. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of them.
Mm.
So how special is that? And I'm wondering, with 19 Canadians in the field this week, is this kind of a unique one?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it's always great to play a national open. If you don't play in a major, your own national open feels like the next major. It's like if we play in South Africa, obviously the South African Open they regard it very highly. But in any particular national open, there's some kind of national pride, from the spectator point of view, from the people actually running the tournament and so forth. So you respect that. You try and respect the way they look at their tournament, and and then you try and compete. So it's always great. In these national opens, they always bring out a nice story. You'll see this week one of the Canadian guys will, maybe the mainstream media hasn't heard from, will probably play well, and he'll probably be right there till Sunday. And those are the nice nice stories that normally come out of these National Open events that we play around the world, and all of them are like that. You know, if you go play the Italian Open or the Scottish or whatever, there's some kind of nice story that comes out of it.
Ernie, I know you played on Saturday with Graham DeLaet, and I think you played with him a few times.
Yes.
Can you give us an assessment of his game, and would you like to see him on the President's Cup team?
Yeah, absolutely. I think Graham's come a long way. You know, obviously links golf is still very new to him, but you know, he's got all the power that these modern players have nowadays. He hits it very long. He's very much more in control of his game, and I just sense that he's got more belief in himself out there. You know, he's come close a couple of times. I saw this year already, and I think he's just growing into really a steady player. So he'll be a great asset to our team. You know, the length that he has and the nice positive attitude that he has towards life and golf, I think that's going to help him.
Ernie, Luke was in here a little bit earlier talking about the demanding schedule, and particularly this time of year between PGA and the British, and you're playing right after the British. Is it safe to say that your RBC affiliation is probably the tipping point between you taking a week off and being here this week?
You know, that'll be unfair to RBC. I mean, they've done such a great job in coming into golf, really saving the Heritage Tournament in South Carolina. You know, and what they've done here with the Canadian Open is just phenomenal. They've really brought it back onto the map, and you know, brought it back into the days with Trevino and Nicholas and Player and those guys played in this tournament. You know, because it deserves a really good field. So they've put in a lot of money behind into golf, and obviously it's helped bring stronger fields to the events. In a perfect world, yeah, I mean, you know, you would love for one of their events not to be straight after a major, but the schedule is so difficult that, you know, this is the choice that they have. And, you know, yes, there's quite a bit of golf to be played, but I take it as a positive. You know, I'm so far away in the FedEx Cup race. You know, I'm 90 in the FedEx, so I need to play a lot of tournaments. So quality events like this really helps my cause. Yes, there's a bit of jet lag involved and so forth, but you know, so be it. There's great tournaments to be played, and you know, I believe the guys should be playing here.
Hey, I wanted to touch quickly on the playing at a National Open, and a guy who gets a ton of attention here is Mike Weir. And you guys are about the same age. How do you sort of come into a National Open dealing with all eyes on you, or that kind of pressure that comes with it?
Yeah, there's got a bit of extra pressure. You know, when I go to South Africa, I don't play there a lot anymore. So when I do go there, you know, you want to show people you can still play a little bit, so to speak, and they want to also cheer you on, but they want to see you play well. So there's people really urging you to play well. You know, not for only yourself, but for the tournament and for them. So I can see a lot more pressure on the local guys, but that's not always a negative. It can be a really good positive. You know, if you get into the running, you're going to have the crowd on your side. You know, so you'll have the home court advantage there. But there can be a little bit of pressure, a bit of distraction here and there. Seeing a lot of people that you know, but you know, I've always taken it as a positive. So it's always been nice.
Is it different as you get older?
Yeah, it does. You know, because some people think, you know, you've played your best golf. You want to prove that you're still relative. So it depends on how your year's going. You know, if you've had a pretty good year, you kind of just flow into it. When you've had a bit of a tough year, you know, there's a couple of things that you almost feel like you need to prove to people. So that can add pressure. So yeah, but it's always positive to play in your National Open.
Ernie, you mentioned the jet lag part of it earlier, and I'm just wondering if you could comment on what it's like physically right now compared to what it was a year ago when you were coming in after winning the British Open.
No, that was a little different. You know, I obviously we had quite a big night on the Sunday there, and you know, I only flew out here on a Tuesday morning. Got to Hamilton Tuesday afternoon and, played just a couple of holes, and then I had to go to a dinner that night, and the next day there was quite a few other things to do. So I never really saw the golf course before Thursday. So it was quite a whirlwind trip. So I'm a little bit better prepared this year, unfortunately so. But got in last night with my family and had a bit more time to rest in London, and played a nice pro-am this morning, and I feel a lot more rested and ready to go tomorrow. So hopefully it'll show in my performance.
Any other questions for Ernie?
Thanks, guys.
Okay.